3 moon goddesses parted by death, leaving only one of his pale corpses ever shedding its cold light. This moon is most likely the welcome moon as it persists under the full sky. But what happened to the other sisters? Below the earth is the abyss. This is evident through the description of the spiral abyss and Child's story where he falls down a hole to reach it. When he fell down he spent 3 months there, but when he returned to the land above, a mere 3 days had passed, telling us time flows differently there. When we move through the corridors and ascend up the spire, we get a view of a very large moon while receiving the blessing of the abyssal moon. Is this the source of the time flow difference? Is this in fact the corpse of the second goddess? If we are to accept this to be the case, that would leave one moon that is missing. As far as I'm aware, there are no other blessings to reference, so where is it? In the concept of the firmament there is a location above the visible sky known as the chambers of heaven. This could be Celestia. When in the correct position, Celestia appears behind the moon, suggesting it's outside the full sky. I will not rule out the chance that this is just an error, but the fact that it hasn't been fixed yet is somewhat suspicious. In the manga, however, Celestia is always shown in front of the full moon, but we know it is capable of moving as it was once located just above Dragonspine. For this reason, I don't think Celestia is a good match for the chambers of heaven. So what about the endless path where we encountered the sustainer of heavenly principles? Is this Celestia? I'd argue it doesn't really resemble Celestia, so where is this location? The travellers wanted to leave this place, so wouldn't it make more sense for them to fly up and out of the world than fly to a floating island? I always figured this location acted as some kind of pathway between worlds, and this is what the travellers used to arrive here. But they arrived within a meteorite. This location is very much like the Abyss, as it has its own flow of time. Its day and night cycle matches that of real time, and logging in at different times causes the scene to change. But this is similar to how Honkai Impact works, so it may not be the intent. However, if you log in at night, there is a moon in the phase of a waxing gibbous, which is not the same as the one in Teyvat, which is always full. This could well be the third and final moon, resulting in 3 separate realms: the Abyss, Teyvat, and the Heavens. Once there was a glorious kingdom established amongst the heavens. From this kingdom came a crowned heir tasked with seeking out the Genesis Pearl from the Kingdom of Darkness. This location could align with this kingdom, but if this were to be the case, the king who sent the first heir would be... The arrogation of mankind ends now. Arrogation means to claim for oneself without right, or to ascribe on behalf of another in an unwarranted manner. For example, if I were to go out on the street dressed as a police officer, this would be considered arrogation of authority. I am seizing authority to which I do not have a right. In this context, arrogation of mankind would be the act of seizing mankind without right. If you consider the full sky and Celestia as a form of prison, and mankind is wrongfully being imprisoned, this works. The other way is if arrogation is used as a noun, mankind's arrogation, mankind's acts of taking claim of something for itself without right. To solve this, I enlisted the aid of the community to give me an interpretation of the original Chinese, and the general consensus was, the overstepping or transgression of mankind ends now. Thanks to these lovely people, and no thanks to the localization team, it's certain that she is very much in favour of the suppression of mankind. This means the unknown god filling the role of the king who sends the heir on their journey is improbable, and the kingdom established amongst the heavens isn't this location, despite it appearing to line up this way. We see the destruction of Conria as it sinks into the sea of flame, as a river of cubes resembling her power flow into it, highly suggesting she's the one creating this destruction. This shows she's capable to partake in the destruction of an entire civilization with little remorse. But why does she choose to just trap the twins and strip them of their power, then send them down individually into Teyvat? My only answer is she's incapable of destroying them, so she opts for imprisonment, but I'm not sure if this is a good one. So if she doesn't fill the role of the king, we have to work out what led to the twins arriving inside the meteorites, and attempt to answer the question of why. Gnosticism is a big influence on the lore and story. Many have covered it already, so I'll only touch on the key components briefly. If you want a clear explanation, I recommend IslandXD's video, as he does a good job while keeping it concise. The idea is there is a material realm where humanity resides. This is watched over by the Demiurge, a jealous deity who despises humanity and suppresses them. We will refer to this as the false god. Outside this realm exists the monad, the true god. The title of the game most likely references this, as it is Original God. In my last video I mentioned the story of Adam and Eve in reference to the serpent in the Gnostic chorus. There is an alternate reading to this in Gnosticism, where the false god has hidden knowledge in the tree of knowledge of good and evil to keep it away from humanity in an attempt to suppress it. The pride of humankind was uprooted and crushed, like a weed removed from the garden of the gods. Dainsleif is the bowkeeper, which means main branch of a tree. When he talks of Conria, he consistently makes references to seeds, branches and roots. Teyvat ends up becoming a metaphor for the Garden of Eden. The source of Conria's prosperity is most likely rooted in the Irminsul trees and the knowledge they bestow. When we offer resin to these trees, we receive artifacts filled with stories and knowledge of the world, and their roots are said to stretch down for miles, down into the abyss. And what does the icon of the spiral abyss resemble? A blue tree. On the 1st and 16th day of every month, the spiral abyss resets. This is called the Moment of Syzygy, which refers to 3 celestial bodies roughly aligning in a straight line. Examples of this is when we have a full moon or a new moon. The crimson moon, like referenced in the prophecy, is another example, as it is a result of a total lunar eclipse. This is referenced as a precursor to catastrophe, just like the death of the 3 moon goddesses. But a Syzygy is also the name given to a pairing of aeons, one male, the other female. They are sent by the true god in response to the false god's suppression. Syzygy is somewhat of an oxymoron, as it means a pair of opposites. Just like the sun and the moon, they work in conjunction, but are also considered representations for day and night. If we extend this to the twins, they are connected as they are siblings, but they are opposites as they are male and female, and their alignment is opposed, since one sides with the abyss while the other fights against it. Lumin's name simply means light, whereas ethers refers to the substance that fills space, breathed by the Olympians in mythology, but also supports the means of which light propagates. Connected opposites, the lost twin acts as a motivating factor for the protagonist to pursue the path laid before them. This appears to be a requirement to fulfill their purpose. When it comes to the story of Adam and Eve in Gnosticism, the true God sends the Aeons to guide humanity to eat the fruits from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so that they can gain the insight and knowledge required to ascend to divinity. This could well mean the traveller's purpose is to help mankind find their wings, to guide them to overthrow Celestia, reform it, or something different entirely. The chorus actually resembles another Gnostic parable known as the Hymn of the Pearl. The son of the King of Kings is sent to Egypt to retrieve the pearl from a serpent at the bottom of a lake. When he arrives, he decides to sleep at the inn too close to where the serpent lies. When he awakens, he no longer remembers his origin and remains in Egypt. The King of Kings then sends a letter to remind the son of his original mission. In response, he delves into the waters, retrieves the pearl, and returns home to be wrapped in the robe of truth. This refers to the human condition, humanity are divine and simply lost within the material realm, forgetful of their divine origin. The letter symbolises the messenger sent to remind them of their heritage, to attain insight and gain knowledge they require to return home. This parable mirrors that of the Gnostic Adam and Eve, and I'm sure you can see how this can be applied to the twins as well. The problem is the Gnostic chorus is multifaceted, both applying to the twins as individual actors and Teyvat as a whole. This is why treating it in a literal sense appears to be incorrect, and knowing the exact details is difficult. The heirs are specifically outlined to be crowned. Once again, it is figurative. This is a sign of their nobility. What form it takes is unclear, but it has something to do with where they came from. But the crown is also a representation for insight and the journey to discover meaning, as it matches that of the crown of insight. The heirs are the Syzygy sent by the king, the true god, whether they know it or not, as it is done with purpose and foresight. This is why I believe the travellers are the best match for these roles. As for the false god, this could well be the unknown god or Celestia as a construct, as it appears to be the one that is suppressing humanity, and Teyvat covered by the false sky represents the material realm. So is there someone who the twins met before they arrived in Teyvat, before they descended inside the meteorites? If this is the case, they'd have a strong chance of having ties to the true god, or in fact, being the god itself. Your journey will become very dangerous from now on. I don't know if this cloth will do anything to protect you, but when you face a force enough to destroy 1 or even 2 worlds, when you face a boundless darkness or an all-consuming radiance, These are the incomplete words spoken to the travellers by an unnamed girl before they descend into Teyvat, taken from the description of the Wings of Descension. This item is paired with the Sword of Descension, which suggests the travellers came to the world with purpose. This is proof that you have came to the world via special means. This is a seal of which only one who has pierced the celestial heights is worthy. In your long journey you have seen the birth and death of stars as they passed you by, scattering the darkness briefly before being consumed once more. You do not truly remember who it was who treated the two of you ever so gently. You wish you could remember, but that was one world ago. You no longer need to sleep out in the wild. Your bed in the city is fluffy and comfortable, and if you must camp, the grass is soft, filled with the fragrance of life. So from that moment you received that wing glider from that girl, you had already thought of a new use for that cloth, and now you shall once again soar through the skies together with it. You can see the parallels to the Hymn of the Pearl here, where it expresses how the travellers have become accustomed to life in Teyvat, and their memory of what came before it fades. Memory loss is a common thread in the story, the Gnostic chorus, and the parables it imitates. The protagonist has issues remembering the events of Conria, a civilization that has been memory-holed. My memory has all but faded completely, but I will always remember how she too loved these flowers. A line that forever haunts me, a line we all assume is a reference to Lumin, which is most likely the case, and it's just a means to an end to link Dainsleif to the lost twin. But the twins have a memory of a girl that is fading, and Dainsleif knows these flowers. The question still remains, where did Lumin get these flowers? They were present in the confrontation with the Sustainer, and she most likely had them before they arrived in the world, as it was already in turmoil upon their descent, and who really has time to pick flowers in a crisis? But this only makes Dainsleif more of an enigma. Do the flowers relate to the girl who sent them off on their journey, and could this girl have in fact sent them with a purpose?